Hello, it's Imran Ahmed, founder and CEO of the Business of Fashion. I'm here for our latest episode or edition of BOF Live. And today we'll be connecting with a really close friend of mine who is inspirational to me, not only as an entrepreneur, but as a human being. Her name is Moj Mahdara. There she is.
Good morning.
Good morning. What time is it there?
9:05, and it's still 2020.
It is. Exactly. Can you believe it?
This is the longest holiday break we've ever had in our life.
I know. I mean, mine doesn't feel quite like a holiday, if I'm honest, but
Oh no, there's no holiday, but I'm saying
yeah.
it's been like uh this is my new work outfit.
Oh, really? Just the sweatshirt?
Like, well, I have some new sweatpants on too, but
Okay.
I have like a whole new like three, four, five sweatpants, three, four, five sweatshirts because I was wearing the same sweatshirt every day.
Yeah, you need to get a rotation cycle in.
I am.
I
I'm
need to
doing
do what you did and put my phone up against a book or something so I don't have to hold it up. Wait, so like Moj, everyone doesn't know you here on this channel.
okay.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Moj. I live in LA. I'm the CEO of Beautycon. I have a baby named Neve and a wife named Roya. And yeah, I like to make trouble in the beauty space.
That's an understatement, I think. And for people who don't know what Beautycon is and how disruptive it's been in your space, do you want to give us the quick lowdown on Beautycon?
It's like a experiential retail pop-up, but it really, I think the DNA of the brand is probably what makes it the most disruptive, which is representing beauty and wellness from all backgrounds and all, I would say, ethnicities and demographics and body types and discussions and
Yeah,
lots of controversial, I would say, explorations around what beauty means to all of us across multiple generations.
yeah,
Um, but I think we try and do it through the lens of entertainment. So I think we've done a good job of keeping it really entertaining. But yeah, it goes on in New York, LA. We've been in London. We've been in Tokyo. We were set to go to Shanghai and Abu Dhabi and have like a much larger global footprint this year, which most likely will end up being next year. So yeah, I mean, I think we try to really be like the master curator of beauty and beauty trends and discussions and personalities in real life, and yeah, that's what we do.
yeah. I mean, I came for the first time last August, and it was genuinely the kind of energy I haven't felt in any other space that I've been privileged enough to be in before. So it's one of those things that you don't really understand until you've experienced it for yourself.
Think
Um,
that I feel like you and I are such, like, we live in a very like privileged sort of life, right?
yeah,
Like, we get to see a lot of things, meet a lot of people, have exposure to information, and I feel like part of what makes a brand important today is to make that information experience accessible to everyone.
yeah,
And so what I love about BeautyCon so much is that everyone has an opportunity to feel like a star and to feel discovered and to discover and to make friends. And I find that the beauty and fashion industry was so intimidating when I first came into it that I wanted to do something just radically different.
yeah,
Um, and I love that, we've created a space where people feel really like a sense of, I would say, authority and like a sense of authorship around their brand stories. And so,
yeah.
yeah, it's been really fun. Yeah.
And so with a business that's fairly heavily focused on physical experiences.
Yep.
How are you guys navigating this current situation? I mean, you talked about all these other plans you had for Shanghai and Abu Dhabi and other places. So what what are you going to do? Like how far ahead are you planning? And as an entrepreneur, I can relate to you. Like it's really hard to plan. Your advice to me and other entrepreneurs from your perspective of how you're navigating this.
I think as an entrepreneur, this is just par for the course. This is what you signed up for. Um, it's rare that someone's going to have like a smooth trajectory. This is what kind of cuts out the like meaty, like this is like when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. Like this is that moment
Yeah.
when you first started BOF, or when I first came into Beautycon, it was about small teams, not a lot of cash, being innovative, being creative, going grassroots. And I think that's where all entrepreneurs need to focus right now, is on their core audience. And for us, we're thinking a lot about different content ideas and what we can do with television and broadcast. And I think live events will be back. I think that live events will, have a place within society that's very sacred. Um, I watched the Coachella documentary this weekend, and I was, it was trending on Twitter, and people were hashtagging and posting and memories and throwbacks. I think, mammals are very social creatures, you know,
Yeah.
and I think we will find ways to congregate, both, for business, for spirituality, for family, for energetic, just the swapping of ideas, I think will happen. And so I think we're going to be forced to really, I think the 5 years, the COVID basically just accelerated the entire industry by 5 years. So
Yeah.
AR, e-com, technology, all the ways in which those tools were already being used. Now we're just going to push heavier into all of those things.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what we all have to do. And I think that's okay. Like, I think this is you can look at it as a terrible time, and you can say this is happening. My friend Heather says this is happening for us, not to us. I think there's a lot of society we need to think about right now. And I think all of us need to think about the systems that we live in and where they're dysfunctional, right?
Where do you think the beauty industry is dysfunctional right now?
Oh, I think it's so soon to say. I think the
Right.
beauty industry right now is just dealing with the absolute, um, look, I think so much information that came to about COVID and the early onset was so inaccurate that most of us were dealing with a bad set of data. So I think, I think it's really unclear. I think that what I do know about the beauty industry is it's one community, and I know a lot of founders who have really come together to try to innovate and share ideas with each other right now. So beauty founders are the most entrepreneurial breed of founders that I know. And I mean that, like across every entertainment, fashion, tech, you know, beauty founders are creatures that are driven by their consumer. So I feel like it's going to take a few months to really think about how they're going to evolve. I think the thing that's really challenged is beauty retail. That's going to be
Yeah.
really tough.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be potentially the hardest part. And I think brands like Target and Walmart and CVS and Boots and Dwayne Reed and all the bodegas around the world that sell beauty and wellness and food are going to be hot targets in terms of where people want to think about distribution on an ongoing basis. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw prestige brands in the same space as, where they're selling an Apple or potentially some toilet paper in the future.
Just because those are the things that'll still be allowed to be open for the foreseeable future.
And
And
I
because
think that
they're integrated into people's like daily life now.
that's that's a little bit of, I think, what all the data is pointing to.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I mean, as you know, we do this report every year with McKinsey, and we just released an update to it. But one of the things we put into our December release for State of Fashion 2020 was this retail shift towards neighborhood stores again, away from like really huge, big box, impersonal warehouse style environments towards more kind of personalized, customized neighborhood retail.
I think that Travis Kalanick is like one of the smartest people out there. I think he doesn't get enough credit for what he built and what he's done, you know?
Yeah.
But when I first heard that he was divesting from Uber and buying commercial real estate to um, uh, essentially take the best restaurants in the world and make them localized so that people could have delivery from, you know, whether it was, your favorite Indian restaurant in London to, you know, Carbone in LA, right? Like, I was like, wow, like, why? That's like such a, like, interesting idea that there's going to be a strip mall that's basically 50 of the biggest restaurants. I don't know if this is exactly his plan because I've read about it here and there, but from what I understand, it's about using the Instacarts and the Postmates and the Uber Eats to distribute. I think the most interesting question out there right now is how will cities change after
Yeah.
COVID-19? Because is it as necessary to live in Los Angeles, New York, uh, London, Mumbai, Dubai? I think that if I was a retail planner right now, I'd be pulling my hair out because I think people are going to want backyards. I think people are going to want space. I think people realize they can Zoom to 95% of their meetings.
Yeah.
So they don't need to live 5 minutes from the LAX airport because they're on a plane 10 times a month like you and I are.
Yeah.
They may move to Ojai. They may move to.
We're definitely going to travel less, right? We're just, I think, as they say, all good crises have an opportunity, and the opportunity for us is just to reimagine the way we live and work. And some of it's been so unsustainable. And I hold my hand up, like the number of flights that I have been taking on an annual basis. Like it's exactly what you said. Like I realize I don't really need to get on a plane to go have
Yeah,
a meeting with someone.
I feel like we're like damaging ourselves on some level by doing that. Like our
Yeah.
home lives, our family lives, like it's been so prohibitive to like I probably do like 60 some odd 70 flights a year.
Yeah. Not necessary. And by the way, you know what one thing I do appreciate about this moment is like I actually have a routine
Yeah.
for the first time in a long time. Like when you're always traveling around, it's
Yeah.
very hard to maintain. And like, we are creatures of habit. Like there's a need to have rhythm and cadence in
Yeah.
your life. I mean, maybe it's a bit too routinized now, and after a few more months, um, maybe it'll be a bit constraining. But um,
Maybe. I think there's but I think there's what we're experiencing, and I think 99% of the world right now is dealing with a massive amount of discord and pain over the economic impact of this and the medical impact. I mean,
yeah,
I think the world at large, beauty and fashion, will now look at these industries and think, how can I participate? How can I help? Where can I be innovative? I loved seeing, Estee Lauder's making hand sanitizer. You had
yeah,
Dyson making ventilators. You had Elon Musk making ventilators.
yeah,
I think there's a lot of world issues that a lot of smart people in the private sector can help and think about innovative ways to solve these issues. And it would be great to put some of the smart minds behind beauty and fashion to work on thinking about like the wellness of the planet and how deeply unprepared we were to experience a pandemic,
yeah.
you know?
Um, Speaking of the human impact or the medical impact, um, you've been working on a project with some founders that I want to talk about. But I first wanted to just get a sense of been talking to people in different parts of the world. Like, what's it like in LA right now? Like, what's the vibe? How are people feeling? What's the status on flattening the curve?
I think LA is taking the flattening of the curve very seriously. We
Yeah.
have an extraordinary mayor who's like really stepped up to like really flatten this curve.
Is that Eric Garcetti?
Eric Garcetti has
Yeah.
gone, I think, above and beyond anything I would have imagined he would have done. I mean, shutting parks, shutting beaches. One of my favorite things he's done is make it mandatory to wear the masks inside mandatory, essential businesses. Um, I think he's handling this like the serious matter that it is. San Francisco, I think, gets the A+ for handling it the best, which is they shut down like March 1st. They've had almost they've had a very manageable level of COVID. Um, I think I think California took this very seriously because first of all, there's like what 40 million people in California, so it's humongous.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
fifth largest economy in the world.
right, and so I
Yeah.
think California is very focused on the shutdown. It's crushing businesses here. It's debilitating what's happened to barbershops, nail salons, retail, restaurants, parking garages, I mean, it's just like I'm afraid when we all leave COVID, our homes, quarantine, the economic crushing is going to be traumatic. I think people have gone through an unbelievable amount of economic pain in the past 6 weeks.
And it
But I
looks
think
set to continue. It
I
looks set to continue.
I think this goes on until June, right?
Yeah.
At least.
And then I think because we'll be so deep in this, deeply mired in this recession with
Yep.
so many people out of work,
Yep.
like you can't just fix that in a matter of weeks. Like that's going to take years now to
And
properly recover.
and I think there's some things that may not ever recover that we need to rethink,
Yeah.
we need to rethink, you know, all of it. I've never felt so, you know, I know Bernie Sanders has been such a controversial character, but like we need to resolve healthcare globally. That
Yeah.
is like, it's a sham and an embarrassment that frontline responders are masks and coverings and short
Yeah.
of equipment and PPE. It's just like we just got to resolve bigger than the economic issue. I think there's a social issue. I think like capitalism and humanity needs to like reimagine what it wants to be because it's just not working.
Yeah. It's broken open, you know, divides and inequality
That's
in our
right.
society that we've always known was there, but this has just like brought it right out into the open.
Yeah. Like
And it's
you can't
heartbreaking,
say now that there's not a disparity for people of color. Like you can't say
No,
that. You cannot.
no, I mean,
You
it's
cannot
in the
say
data. It's in
you
the
cannot
data.
say there's not a racist and systemic racism. You cannot say that. You cannot say that there's not a systemic bias towards people who are at a certain economic level. It's like the people who are really sick and dying from this are like we have to change that. And I think every industry now, will be the most progressive conversations that you had at Voices in the past and the discussions that you have through BOF. Everyone's going to now pay attention. They're going
Yeah.
to talk about it. Healthcare, economic disparity, racial disparity, what's going on with the environment. Like all of these issues now they're not going to be like diversity issues. They're not going to become like, philanthropic issues. These are going to be like business issues.
These are like the main issues to figure out.
Right. That's right. And I think that's probably needed to happen.
Yeah.
And I think
So
that people wanted it to happen. I think people knew, but I think the herd mentality pushes this to the front, like now.
I hope we seize the opportunity because I hear some people using the phrase like when everything goes back to normal, and I just think that's like the worst the worst thing would be for us to just go back to normal. You know, the worst thing would be for us to just go back to the way we were doing things before all this happened. It'd be like, if we miss this opportunity, that's like the worst possible thing that can happen.
I don't think that will happen.
I hope not.
I don't think so. I think way too many very important people and very important businesses have been brought to their knees over this. And like I said, I think the worst of it is we're not even seeing it. We're not even seeing the mom that can't pay her rent this month. We're not seeing children who aren't getting their school lunches because they can't go to school. We're not seeing, the domestic abuse issue going on right now globally. Very, very concerning. The amount of women and people who are stuck at home with an abuser, and the hotlines are through the roof because they can't go to work and they're stuck at home with a partner that's violent. And it's like children it's like all of these issues, like this is what's driving the headlines now. And before they would be on page 7, 8, 9, 10. Today they're like the front headline.
Yeah.
And I think we gotta do better.
Yeah.
We have to. It's our job to like accept that challenge and try to do that.
So tell me about Beauty United. I got a little sneak preview from you the other day when we chatted, and it's been really amazing to see it roll out, and to see all of the faces associated with all these amazing beauty companies. How did that all happen?
Some of it is look, my agenda has always been about what happens when you galvanize a community and an industry together. And I think one of the things I've always appreciated about the entertainment industry is that it is very galvanized together. I saw that Live Nation and the CEO of Live Nation, Michael Rapino, started this like group between AEG and WME and CAA and a whole bunch of competitors to basically say, we're going to come together to solve like the live event industry issue. And this was like the day that we went on lockdown, and I started calling around. I'm like, hey, is there like a coalition? Is there like a group of people in beauty that are like thinking about crowdsourcing these problems together and thinking about these problems together? And, everyone's like, no, I don't even talk to those people ever. Like, and so we just started sort of a private group of people sort of chit-chatting with each other, and agreed that it was all off the record and agreed that it was sort of anonymous, and have been coming together to discuss sort of larger issues within the industry, and ended up being, I think, almost like 45 brands. And out of that, we really, I think, understand that if the livelihood of our lives depend on first responders, right? Like there's 4 million first responders, I believe, in North America, in the United States. I don't even know the number worldwide, but I can't imagine it's more than like 15 or 20, let's call it at best 30 million people worldwide that work as nurses, doctors, physicians, right? And so if those people don't have what they need to do their jobs, I don't know how we're going to get better.
Yeah.
Rachel Maddow said it. She was like, what's going to happen to us if like these people that take care of us like are sick? Something like 1/3 of all police officers in New York City are out sick today. 20%.
Yeah.
Right? 20% of like a police officer that truly like they're just a public service, role.
Yeah.
We realized we had to do something to get products in the hands of first responders that were not PPE, but they were, I would say, essentials. So lotions, oils, face washes, antibacterial soaps, some treats that could just make them, feel better, bath salts, anything that would make you feel better after like a 36, 40-hour shift, right? Because a lot of these people are just like, they're washing their hands like 70 times a day. Their hands are cracking.
We think our hands are dry. Imagine what
their faces are getting bruised and cracked. And so we thought, okay, let us work with our partners at the Javits Center in the New York State the governor's office to get products to some of these first responders, which we're still working through because the landscape of what goes on in the New York State changes on a hour by hour basis. And then we decided to come together to support this amazing 501c3 that's essentially powered by a company called Flexport. And what Flexport is like,
isn't that delivery company?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
and so when so much PPE travels around the world through the bellies of commercial flights, and these commercial flights are canceled, who's going to get this equipment from point A to point B? And so what flexport.org is doing with the first responder fund is basically raising, $10 million to essentially get as much PPE and ventilators to these hotspots in America. And so that's what we've been working on doing, is raising money for that 501c3. And Beauty United is just a effort to show the industry that everyone who's been competing for shelf space or store space, or who gets what placement on what website, that at the end of the day, the ecosystem requires us. We need each other. And we can align around initiatives that help drive an outcome. And this is like an amazing opportunity to do that. And so, almost every person that we asked to be involved said yes. And the videos that everyone shot were like totally bootleg, like no publicists, no agents, no managers. Like, we had people's HR offices telling us, like, how did you get this video? Is this approved? Like, we don't have sign off. You're like, we literally did it in like 6 days. Everyone shot it on their phones, on the DL, texted it to us. Milk Studios, which is, world renowned epic production, quickly edited these 42 videos into like a minute 13. I think we went through like 85 edits. It is just like, I don't know.
it's really powerful, Moj. It's real, it's like, how do you get, Huda Katan and Gwyneth Paltrow and Victoria Beckham and Charlotte Tilbury and, all these people who are basically competing for the same customers? Like, how do you get them all to collaborate? That's what's amazing about this moment, is I think, it takes leadership, and congratulations to you for being that leader who can help people see that there's more to this than just the economics of their own business. Like, there's a way of bringing people together to and we all can have an impact in our own ways. So sometimes you just need someone to help see it. So thank you for that.
Honestly, and I've said this to you, like, the beauty industry is peppered with not just some of the most competitive, the most aggressive entrepreneurs I've ever met, but like the biggest hearts, the biggest spirits, the biggest, like people like Anastasia, people like Huda, Mona, like these people have their love for what they do, and their passion for it is Bobby Brown. Like, they're just Gwyneth Paltrow. Like, these people are in love with their consumers and their passion. And, I think that's why I love the beauty industry so much, is as like competitive as they are, the love they have for their audience is unparalleled to anything I've ever seen in my life. And I've worked across every industry. And this industry has something so special.
Well, kudos to you for bringing that group together.
Thank you.
And keep me posted on like what happens, because I want to see how that group evolves, because I think that, like many things in this context of the pandemic, things that start now because of the pandemic, I think they can continue into the future. And so now you have this like amazing group of people who are going to be willing to talk to each other and collaborate long after this is all behind us, which is awesome.
And I think that's what I had sort of been pitching to the beauty industry for years, right? What I loved about the music industry is that everyone organized around Spotify, right? And they all agreed to partner with Spotify to build the next generation of something, right?
Yeah.
I think the beauty industry is ready for that. And I think a lot of industries are ready for that. So I think, what's great about the pandemic is I feel like I now think about life in the next decade, not in the next year.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think about like, where am I going to be in a year from now? Like, I think about where am I going to be in 10 years from now? Because I realize that so much of what we think about is so not up to us.
Yeah. If
Like,
there was a moment that proved that things are out of our control,
yeah,
genuinely out of our control, this is the moment, right?
this is
So
it. Can I ask a question? How do you think this, because you and I feel like you and I are like counterparts within the like, I'm in beauty, you're in fashion,
yeah.
right? And like, I always think of you as like the other end of my bookcase in a way, because like we're both
Oh,
such outsiders. Like, we don't
yeah,
really belong here. Like
yeah.
I'm not a beauty person. I'm not, like, I'm not Rihanna or Bobby Brown, who like was a makeup artist, or I'm not like all of these amazing people like started with a artistry and a craft that they were masters at that gave them this thing. Like, I just kind of came in as an outsider. And so I always think of myself as like, I'm always thrilled that I'm even welcomed into the group. And I know you feel the same. Like, I know you came into the fashion industry as someone who was quite on the outside. So what do you think this does to fashion?
I think there's so many parallels. I mean, obviously, both beauty and fashion are highly dependent on retail.
Yeah.
And so um, the acceleration of things that were already happening around the way people were engaging with fashion, whether it be digital consumption of fashion, like through e-commerce, um, or whether it be increasing conversations around sustainable fashion and like
Yeah.
fashion that actually has, you know, a moral and ethical fiber to it, quite literally,
Yep.
um, to just a different uh, lens on consumption and the way we think about what we actually need versus what we think we need.
Right.
I think all of those things were trends or not trends, they were conversations that were already being had by very, very interesting, influential people. I think all of that is going to get accelerated rapidly.
Right.
So just like the work from home thing is going to become a thing everywhere,
Yep.
those conversations that were kind of starting to bubble up at the surface of our industry, that's going to happen. I think the other thing is this moment has brought around collaboration and conversation that I've never seen in fashion before.
Amazing.
And, I've been talking to so many people, and it's been so nice because I think everyone's also just thinking like I should reach out and see, how someone else is doing. And I've been getting
Absolutely.
so many calls from people in the industry who are just saying, so how are you doing? And I find myself compelled to do the same thing. And what I'm learning in those conversations is over and over, CEOs, executives, designers, they're saying, I'm talking to my competitors, you know?
Yeah, you have
And
to.
so it's like we did this report, and I don't know if you've seen it, but like one of the main quotes says like no company will get through this pandemic alone.
That's
So
right.
all those companies that are just, ivory towers in isolation, no, like this is about bringing everybody together. And like
1000%.
you, I feel like, I can help to play a part in that. So we're doing our best. Our team is working their butts off. We're really trying to incorporate this kind of collaborative thinking in the way we're approaching this issue
Yep.
because, we weren't prepared for this either. So we're learning like everybody. But one thing I'm 100% sure of is the fashion industry is going to be unrecognizable after this is all over, which I find exciting, actually. I
I
find that really energizing, and I feel like there's going to be so much innovation that to me is super exciting.
I feel like the one thing that we're never going to get out of our minds is what a global community we are, how dependent we are on each other globally. Like, what happens in China or India or in the US, like, there is no such thing as borders,
Yeah,
because we all, you hear my dog?
I can. I can.
Soupy. Shh.
Is your dog's name Sufi?
Yeah.
Like SUFI?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He was, when he was a puppy, he was such a meditative, spiritual vibe. And he would just run in like in circles, like a dervish, right?
We need some Sufism right now, let me tell you.
Right? Yeah,
um,
totally.
well, Moj, it's awesome to talk to you as always. I know we'll
Well,
talk again. I know we'll talk again really soon. Give my
we should
love
we
to
should think
Roya.
about what is the biggest, scariest thing we can do together and put it out in the future, like
Okay.
5 to 10 years from now. Because I
Mm.
think anything is possible, and the world needs minds like yours right now.
And yours.
Thank you. I love you very much.
Um, Thank you. I love you too.
Stay
And
safe.
yeah, you too. My
Good.
best to Roya, okay?
For sure. Bye.
Bye. Okay, everyone, that's the latest BOF Live. I really like doing these conversations because they feel like we need more connection now more than ever with everything that's going on. So I hope you're all keeping safe and healthy. I hope for those of you who celebrate Easter and Passover, I hope you had a nice time with your family celebrating those important holidays. And get ready for another week working from home. I think I've just seen an alert on my phone come through that the UK lockdown is set to continue. So I'll be working from home. That means we'll be doing more BOF Live. So stay tuned. Please share your feedback with us using the hashtag BOF Live. Bye.